Today's guest didn't just become an Eagles fan, he built a life around it. He went from family business to pursuing his own passion, to creating one of the fastest growing Eagles content brands out there. He's behind the scenes at signings. He's building relationships in the football world and online. He's the home of some of the best Eagles content, but make no mistake, he's flying solo into something big. Ladies and gentlemen, Justin Fiorillo, the wingman. Justin, welcome to the show.
Go Birds, everybody. What's going on, JR? What's going on, Mike? What's going on, Gabby? Appreciate you having me on today. Let's get this thing rocking and rolling. Let's go.
We love it. We're so happy to have you here. And listen, as we are preparing for this, I kept thinking, there are fans, and then there are people who restructure their entire life around their passion. And you have done that with the Eagles. Justin, I got to start here. What has that been like?
Well, I'll tell you what, JR, the journey's been incredible. It's been humbling, and I tell you what, I appreciate the support in that intro there. As you did mention, I did own and operate a Philly pretzel factory for 5.5 years and just sold it about 7 or 8 months ago.
Awesome.
To actually, more so, closer to a year ago, I should say, to pursue my real passion, which was following what I went to school for, sports management, was to being in something in sports, being in something in the, behind the scenes athletics and whatnot. But I really had a passion, and I've been a Philly sports fan my whole life. So I've been going to games since I was a kid. But I noticed, I found myself, once I sold the store, I really went full throttle with the taking all the content I had in my phone and posting it, and I became just kind of ingratiated with the whole content creation. So I sold the store, and I've been a fan my whole life. So I've been going to signings and Eagles games since I was a kid, since I can remember. But when I had the pretzel factory, I made a connection with a gentleman named Joe, who owned a sports memorabilia shop in York, PA, and we became very close. And when I had the pretzel shop, knowing I was a big fan, he would bring players in for signings, and that's kind of how it actually started a few years ago. This whole thing. And one day he said, "Would you go down to Philly and pick up big play Darius Slay and drive him to our store for a signing?" And I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" So like I did that and stuff, and I've been going to games my whole life. So long story short, I didn't want to be behind an oven my whole life, JR. So I sold the store, pursued my passion, which was being. I still actually do work other jobs to pay the bills and whatnot, to stay busy.
Yeah.
But my passion was doing content creation. So I started uploading to Instagram and YouTube videos of my experiences and stuff, and they started to take off. But then I really found that, funny story, what actually started everything was my first video that went viral was I went down to the Philly show about a year ago in March last year, and I met Big Dom DeSandro, the Eagles legend, head of security or whatever. And
yes,
I went up to him and I said, "From an Italian to an Italian, nice to meet you."
Can't beat that in.
Had a conversation with them, was recording it with my phone at the Philly show. And I'm like, "Where's the best place to get a bite to eat in Philly?" He told me Aroma on 3rd. I said, "I'm going to go there, try it out." Went the next day, posted a video of me at the restaurant, eating the food and all that. Posted this whole sequence up to Instagram, and it kind of went viral. And then from that moment on, I'm like, this is what I want to do. Like, I'm hooked. I love the engagement. And then I shared like everything, all the games experiences I've been at. I started booking my calendar like every week, every month in advance to look for events, look for Eagle games, develop connections. It's not what you know, it's who you know, and made a lot of connections to meet different players, different people, and post it. Always just being visual, being online, and getting it out there. And it seems to have taken off. So, yeah.
Wow. I just love that story. I love the background. And you said it quickly. You got all the key points out. And I mean, that is just, for all the listeners out there, that's just a lot of fun to hear how that vision can go. Now, before the content, before the signings, before Inside the Eagles, who was Justin Fiorillo?
Still a diehard Philly sports fan. I've been going to all the games and stuff, and just somebody who's passionate, somebody who creative. I've always found myself different in that regard. I feel like I can take pieces of content, pieces of whatever. Someone can look at a picture or video and just see something, and I can see something completely different with it. I see a whole vision behind it. I see a video montage. I see a meme. I see, and I just found myself, I've always been like that before I even had the power of social media and the internet. I always found myself when I was in grade school, actually, a lot of the kids, I know it sounds like a cliche, like a funny, like made up story, but it's
Yeah.
actually true. Like the kids would go out for recess and stuff, but I always found myself staying inside and I'd write creative stories. I would just make up stories
Yep.
and write them. Like I was fourth grade, I would type them out and just make up characters and stuff. And I just always found myself, I don't, I think everybody's different, right? Like in their own
Yes.
way, like we're all different, right? So I would say I'll be honest, like I was different. I felt like, I don't think in a bad way, but just in a creative way. Like I felt like I just always wanted to, before all this stuff, I still was a creative, um, adventurous type of, just wanted to try new things.
Huh?
And then it just happened to be the power of the internet, made the Instagram, made the YouTube, and was able to display that and show that.
Yep.
And I've been blessed to say a lot of people have loved the results of it.
Well, do you like the creative, my work today in the studio? I
I
put
do.
up some green. This was just so you know, some St. Patty's
Yeah.
Day green. I
Yes.
just felt like I needed to add some green for you. Turned the SuperFan Diaries sign to green for you, but I did have to wear my TCU shirt. The reason being is they beat Ohio State. They're advancing in March Madness, and I'm pretty excited for tomorrow night.
Hey,
Not to be
I'm happy
selfish.
about that. I'm a Penn State fan, so anytime Ohio State loses, that's not a
Yeah.
bad thing. So
I
that's
think,
awesome,
I
Jr.
think everyone but Ohio State fans that listen to the show,
Yeah.
they were all happy about TCU winning. You grew up in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, right? So you grew up right there.
Yeah,
What
so
did?
I'm actually, believe it or
Oh yeah.
not, people find this very shocking. I am not born and from Philadelphia.
Oh,
I'm from the Lehigh Valley, which is about 45 minutes, 50 minutes away.
okay.
But believe it or not, Philadelphia Eagles used to have their training camp for, I want to say, like 20, 30 years at Lehigh University. Devontae Smith still has a celebrity softball game in the
Oh, I
Coca-Cola
love it.
Park in the Lehigh Valley. A lot of connections up there.
Yeah.
But that is where I'm from. And although I spend a lot of time in Philadelphia and am actually planning to move there
Oh, there you go.
by this upcoming fall to make it permanent and kind of keep doing this and whatnot. So I
Yeah.
am planning to move there full time. I am not from there, but continue.
Tell me
Yeah.
what did Sundays look like for you in your house?
Oh wow. Um, if the Eagles lost, not very good. You didn't want to be around my dad for sure, and I was scared to death and stuff. I mean, but in all seriousness, Sundays it's I'm Italian, and not just for Italians, but for anybody. I feel like families is so we cherish it so much, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like
Oh yeah.
Sundays especially for the Eagles and for Philly sports, and I always say the Eagles, but I do rep all Philly sports and love all Philly sports and have been to all Philly sports games, including meet and greets with athletes.
Yeah.
Of all of them, just was with Dr. J a few weeks ago, actually, Julius
Oh
Erving.
wow.
So yeah. So he's not an Eagle, he's a Sixer. So,
Yep.
but they were always filled with a lot of passion, family, food. Sundays are just a time of we work our ass off, hardworking Monday through Saturday and Sunday. A little less hardworking, just kind of our day off to
Yeah.
just kind of sit around, enjoy football, and yeah, I would say that.
Well, it sounds like your dad probably had a really big influence. Was your father who helped spur? Because I can tell you that was who did it for me because my father was a
Yes,
diehard ball. And
sure.
I think I've noticed from a lot of the biggest fans in the world, so much of
Yeah,
it is related to your family. Let's just face it,
sure.
super fans and brands are a lot alike. My mom uses Tide. So guess what I use? Tide. So I mean, like it kind of like goes with the theory. But
Right.
so was it your dad? Was it a friend, family member? Who do you give
Yeah,
the
that's
most
a
credit to?
great question. Yeah. I now if it was it was but it was if my dad wasn't an Eagles fan or diehard Philly sports fan, I'm almost a million percent confident I would still have been a diehard
Okay.
Philly sports fan. But I do credit him for bringing me up in that environment with the passion, taking
Yeah.
me to the games. You know what I mean? Giving me the access to when I was a kid to be just around the athletes and stuff, and
Yeah.
go to these games and see it up close was just incredible. So I do credit him a lot for doing that.
All right. Do you remember your very first Philly game in the stadium? And what was that moment you realized this is different? This matters more.
I think I was a kid. It was a preseason football
Hey,
game,
those
an
are
Eagles
cheap.
game.
Those are easy to get into. Those are like
Well,
$10 to go sit and watch some great athletes.
perfect segue because we were sitting in the cheap nosebleed seats up in the 700 level up there, and
For a
let's just say I
preseason
was a
game?
kid for a preseason game. Yeah, just for it was a
Okay.
cheap seat. I was a kid. I was like, and this is you asked me my most faint like
Yeah, I
earliest
want to know
memory.
your first one. Yep.
I want to say, JR, I was about 9 or 10 years old. Okay,
Yep.
and for this Eagles game, preseason against the Buffalo Bills, it was up in the nosebleeds of the stadium,
So
and
cool.
I saw a Eagles fan absolutely cursing out a couple with with their kids with them and stuff over something on the football field throwing, literally about to like throw the food at him. They was gotten that series, getting in each other's face over a preseason game. And I was like, at that point, I'm like, well, if they take football a little bit more seriously here in Philly than they do maybe other places, I'm like, this is, and it was just like, just that image was ingrained in my childhood brain. And I'm like, man,
Wow.
just seeing just the restlessness in the crowd and just the passion and just the energy at a preseason game, I'm like, oh wow, like
Well,
so.
think about that moment. Let's just face it. Philly fans are wired different. That perfect example couldn't be a better segue for this. So you were still 9 or 10, so that's still a little young. You've got impressionable moments going on according to psychiatry. But when did you realize you weren't just a fan, you were all in on the Eagles and all Philly sports teams?
Great question. I just resonated with. I really resonate with the city of Philadelphia and everything. It kind of. I know some people make the memes and stuff about Philadelphia and all that stuff, and like, oh, scared. Don't want to. Blah, blah. But I really resonate with the culture of Philadelphia and what it stands for. I love Rocky. I love
Oh,
the
who
underdog
doesn't?
story. I love the passion. I love the brotherhood. I love the I am my last name's Italian, and I love, there's a lot of, in South Philadelphia especially,
Yeah.
it's like there's a strong Italian American culture there and stuff, and I just love everything about it. And plus, maybe the biggest thing, Jr., is that I live close to, that's my closest team. So
Yep, of
I
course.
believe in, kind of, at least for me, I know everybody has stories to each their own, but for me, I believe in loyalty, to your closest team as well. So I just felt like, even though I'm not from Philadelphia, we had training camp 5 minutes from my house. So I mean,
Yeah.
we're in Eagles country. So like, I'm an Eagles fan. So that's, I would say that.
All right. Well, in Philadelphia, fandom isn't just a hobby, it's identity. All right. Listen, we've
Yes.
got to talk about the next step of here on our show today, which is you come from, I believe, a very large, successful family pretzel business that you described earlier in the show. That sounds stable. That sounds predictable. Honestly, kind of amazing. Who doesn't love pretzels, especially with salt and mustard? So
Oh my
walk me,
gosh.
so walk me through this. You're all involved. You're all doing this. You got your family business. And then when did you decide, obviously, to make that, to help your family decide to sell the pretzel business?
Yeah, it was a tough decision. It was a
Yes.
really tough decision, JR, because we
Yes.
spent 5.5 years doing it. So I felt like that was a good chunk of time. And a lot of people said, well, if it was going well and you were having a good store in the business, why would you sell your pretzel factory to go just,
Because it's going
to, pr-
well. That's a
yeah,
good time to
yeah,
sell.
right. That's a very common question I got. And and I tell you this today, I have zero regrets, because I don't think I have any chance to do the time, the energy, the even, just to be blunt and honest with you, the finances
Yeah.
from even selling the store to be able to afford to go to some of these games and experiences and be able
Yeah.
to make this content.
Yep.
Honestly, I don't have no regrets, because I followed my passion.
Love
I
it.
could say now I've done both. I've owned the Philly pretzel factory for 5 years, and I made an impact in that community. And
Yeah.
it was a key to key transfer of the ownership. So like, we didn't shut the store. Somebody else is
Yeah.
running it now. So I'm happy to still see our vision is still being put in place up there in New York. And but I'm happy to say I'm also the Eagles content creator, the Philly the social media influencer as well. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm most proud about, is to be able to say I've done both.
All right. Well, you've closed that chapter, but before you go, because I know our listeners they just can't help themselves. They want to know more about pretzels because it's such a huge staple at all
Oh
the
yeah,
foods. It's a super
I
fan
got you.
food. What is the top flavor pretzel you sold when you owned the store?
Wow, probably our pizza pretzel was pretty popular. It was pretty good.
I do love pizza
We
pretzel.
also had mini cheesesteak bites that came four in a cup with marinara sauce.
Mm.
We had a variety of dips, from buttercream, brownie batter, cinnamon, salted caramel, honey mustard, spicy brown mustard, I mean, you name it. We had a bunch of stuff. Candy cane dip. Oh my gosh, we just, every different season we had different flavors. Cinnamon rivets. Our little bites were called the rivets, not
Oh,
that was the name for them. So
I love it.
we do party trays, we would do hot dogs, we do oh man, we did everything.
All right. Let's talk about your YouTube series, Inside the Eagles. What's the vision behind it?
Wow, so I got to give a lot of shout out and credit to my guys Matt and Topher at Bacon Shake Worldwide, who actually became my friends.
Bacon
And
shake. We love old
yeah,
bacon shake.
yeah, you guys know who they are. So they found my social media, they found my content on the gram and stuff and YouTube and
Yeah.
whatnot, and they're like, we love what you're doing, Justin, and we want to kind of do a podcast. And I'm like, we love what you're doing so much. Like, do you want your own show? We'll help produce it and stuff. And I'm like,
Wow.
we'll make up your own name. I'm like, huh, well, everyone thinks I'm always like behind the scenes with the Eagles. So I'll call it Inside the Eagles. I thought about it for like one day. I was brainstorming ideas. So I'm like, Inside the Eagles. And they're like, that's awesome. Now, if you want to get friends and get people to be on the show, you can get them on the show. I'm like, say less. So I went and started recruiting my little Eagles gang of my friends and whatnot. And
Yeah.
next thing you know, we have this show Inside the Eagles. We're on like 11 or 12 episodes, and it's doing pretty good. It's getting better at least each episode. I'll
Yeah.
say that much, and it's starting to get some traction. But yeah, it's just I love doing, just not to segue off it, but real quick, I just love doing everything. I love doing the podcasts and content creation and going to live events and interviews and memes and all that stuff. So like I felt like it was just another type of kind of weapon in my arsenal I can just add to the whole content thing, was make my own show and get some Eagle fans to come on and talk about the birds. So
Oh, man, I love it. All right, you're at signings, you're building relationships, you're getting closer to the game than most fans ever will. You've got a following. What's been the most wow, I can't believe I'm here moment so far?
well, it had to be doing my private signing with Saquon Barkley. Uh, yeah, yeah. Well, there you go. Yeah. So I was so nervous the day driving. I've never met him before prior to
Yeah.
this, and I remember just meeting when he walked in the room. He had like, not to be like funny or anything, but just like so much, just like aura behind him. I'm like, I
Yeah.
can't believe I'm standing in front of Saquon Barkley, and not only did I stand in front of Saquon Barkley, I had to do work a private signing with him, and it was about a 5-hour signing.
Oh,
So I was in a
gosh.
room for 5 hours. He signed thousands of pieces, and I ended up talking to him like it was just me and you right now.
Yeah.
And some of the conversation I had. So funny story was, just this was during his Super Bowl and 2,000 yard season and all that stuff. And it was a signing was in November of that season. This was like a week or two after his famous backwards hurdle and all that stuff. And I just looked. He was on my fantasy team at the time, and I told him, I said, "Dude, you are carrying my fantasy team right
I
now."
think he's
And he
carrying a
just,
lot of fantasy teams
yeah,
that year, all right? A lot of
yeah,
fantasy teams.
yeah. And he just busted out laughing. But just not to tell you stories about it, but just really just that whole environment of being there with him and talking with him. And he asked me, true story. He asked me so many questions about the pretzel factory. He seemed to
Of
be
course he
intrigued
did, just
about
like
that.
I did. You can't
Yes,
help it because it's
yes,
everybody's like passion.
yes,
Everybody loves
yes.
pretzels, Justin.
And we're both, yes, and we're both from the Lehigh Valley, so we talked
Oh,
about that a lot. So he's from
that's cool.
Whitehall. I'm from Emmaus. We play each other, and like our high schools play each other in football and stuff. So like
Yeah.
we're literally from like the same county. So like it was cool, man. And being such a big Eagles fan, being like a fan, just like I don't work. I got in that room actually to be able to work through the signing with Saquon back when I owned the pretzel factory, made a connection with the guy that owned that pretzel shop, like I mentioned,
Yeah.
and he said, I have about 20 pieces I need to get signed with a guy I made a connection with who's doing a private signing with Saquon at the Valley Forge Casino next week. I can't make it, Justin. Would you go drive down with the pieces and get it signed for me? So, like, I don't even work for anybody per se. I'm just a friend with the guy, and I got to be in that room. So I would say being with him.
And the timing of it, it goes back to moments in life of opportunities that present themselves. You take advantage of them, and that can change your life forever. Really, just small moments. I mean, the Eminem song, when you get up on stage, make it work, and I think that says so much to everyone I've had a chance to interview, including yourself, that takes it to the next level and becomes these huge super fans. Well, have you had any other moment with any other players or someone else
Oh,
in
yeah.
other organizations that's made it feel so real? Who's someone else?
Dr. J, Julius
Oh,
Irving was just a few weeks ago on
boom.
basketball. Yeah, yeah, basketball. Duncan, the basketball legend, Dr. J, and
Yes.
I credit that to a connection I made. Justin Brown of JB Sports Ventures, who was a gentleman who found my content a few months ago. Actually, this was not when I had the pretzel shop. This is
Right.
after I sold it. But he is in the sports business, and he's kind of he does that for like full time, like actually is a full time job, gets paid for it and all that. But he loved my stuff. We became friends, and he invited me. We became such good friends that he invited me to the Dr. J event a few weeks ago. And being in a car with Julius Irving and hearing him, you know. Just talk about stories like playing against Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, and
Yeah.
talking about Duncan, and like to answer your question, Jr. Was
Yeah.
this being in an SUV with him with like an armed security detail, sitting in the car with them, talking with them, getting out at the Brooklyn Nets game and being escorted onto the court, sitting courtside with them. I mean, you're walking in, I'm holding my phone like this. There's a whole arena. He's on the Jumbotron saying,
Gosh.
Julius Irving. I'm right next to him. We're
Yes.
walking in, and I'm like, this is the guy who was just
Hanging.
we were just talking about,
Just
like,
hanging.
I was talking with him in the car. Yeah. So just, I would say him. Yeah. But a lot of other players I've been blessed to have encounters with. And I don't want to take time up. I know you got questions, but yeah,
Oh,
a
no,
lot.
no. I mean, you just nailed that. All right. Well, if someone is listening right now, stuck between that safe entrepreneurial or what I'll call basic insurance, key job, mailman, you name it, they've got
Yeah.
their stable job, but they're passionate about a dream. What are you going to tell
Yeah.
them?
look, if you follow what you really want to do, you can get invited on shows like this, the SuperFan Diaries. So, you never know, right? But I
Right.
would say, honestly, to be serious though, you really got to follow your passion. You really have to follow your passion because there's like an old quote, you know, I'm the greatest. I said that before I knew I was. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I'm the greatest or anything like that, but I'm
Yeah.
saying when it comes to the content creation, before I made my first ever post or even made an Instagram or YouTube account, I was that same person. And that's what I wanted to be. So it was like, if you know what you want to do, you have to go after it 100,000,000% and have full faith, belief, confidence in yourself. You have to go after it. So
I
I would
love
say
it.
that.
Don't waste the time. Are you ready for this? Buzzer beaters, Justin. Quick answers to each of these questions I'm going to ask. Number 1, favorite Eagle of all time.
Brandon Graham.
All right. Most electric game you've ever experienced.
2025 NFC Championship. I recorded Saquon's opening run on film. It was one of my favorite posts, if not my favorite pieces of content I ever have on my phone.
I remember that run. How do you not remember
Yes.
that run?
Yes. When he spun it the open against the Commanders, yeah, it was
All
just
right.
pure adrenaline.
I think I know the answer to this one, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Dream signing you haven't gotten to yet.
Well, yeah, Jalen Hurts, but
Easy.
I'll tell you a good backup one would
Yes.
be not Eagles related because I'm not trying to be funny.
Yeah.
There's a lot of players I've almost of big name variety. I think Jalen Hurts would be the only one I really want to get to for a signing, but I would have to say probably like anybody from the '08 Phillies, like one of those like Ryan Howards or Chase Utley or something. That'd be pretty cool.
Old school.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Craziest Eagles fan moment you've ever seen live or fan. Could be a fan moment. Craziest Eagles fan moment. Besides those couples yelling at each other at the preseason game.
Oh yeah. Easy. At the Detroit Lions game this year, Gilly the Kid pulled up with his crew. You know Gilly the Kid?
No, but who is he?
Oh, so Gilly the Kid is he's very famous in the Eagles in Philly world, but he's a super popular social media personality, online, whatnot. And
we got to get him on the show.
Yeah. He just showed up at a tailgate,
Yeah.
and the whole place went nuts. Everybody, hundreds of people had their phones out. It was getting swarmed. He pulled up, he partied with us. He pulled up in his little Eagles mobile. He took pictures with everybody. I got a picture with him. He talked with people. He danced with them, signed autographs and stuff. It was pretty cool. He's like a rapper personality, whatnot. Yeah. And he just pulled up to the tailgate. So like as a fan moment, cool. that was pretty cool. Yeah.
One piece of advice for content creators trying to break through. And we have a lot of non-sports people that actually listen to this podcast. So
here's the best advice I can give you. Everybody doom scrolls. Everybody scrolls on their phone, right?
Yep.
Everybody scroll. Follow your instinct in your heart. If it makes you laugh, if it makes you inspired, if it makes you feel an emotion, there's a good chance other people will feel that emotion. So just remember ways you can just go off that. It doesn't have to be a meme per se. It could be any piece of content. So if it makes you feel an emotion, if you watch it, if you see just something that you like that and you're like, wow, like I have something that might not that name or player, but I have something similar in my phone like that content, I could post that, just so I would say that.
Great advice. Justin the wingman didn't just bet on a team. He bet on himself. He turned fandom into purpose and passion into direction. In a city that demands everything, he chose to give it everything back. This is the SuperFan Diaries. I'm J.R. Green. And remember, if you make one person smile today, you've had a great day. Make them laugh, even better. Thanks for listening, everyone, and goodbye.